Why do some people seem to have ways to live the life they want, spend time with family, and pursue things that make them happy, while others can never seem to find the time to make their dreams become a reality? Why are some people able to grow their business, even in tough environments, while others are floundering or even failing? Why are some people expanding their sphere of influence while others are just trying to stay afloat with their own poignant message? There's a competitive advantage that some of the world's most unlikely success stories have in common. It's the judicious use of a resource that increases sales, retains jobs, builds local economies, and improves people's quality of life. And it's probably less costly than you think. Hello, my name is Renee Bengelsdorf, founder of the Clear Skies Club, author of the book Crushing Mediocrity, and seasoned aircraft broker as the CEO of Charlie Bravo Aviation. Welcome to my brand new workshop entitled The 40,000-Foot Game Changer. In this first video, you're going to discover the power of using a well-kept secret, a competitive differentiator for creating more time, more influence, and more peace in your life or business. This is going to open your eyes to the benefits and relative affordability of private aviation. It is not just for the ultra-rich and famous. It is for regular leaders with a vision for significance. So if you're a small or mid-sized business owner, but aren't growing as much as you want to in an expanding economy, or you're an influencer trying to spread your message without spreading yourself too thin, stay with me, because you're going to discover how the world's most successful business leaders wisely use private aviation to expand their influence and substantially grow their profits. The goal of this series is simple: to help you expand your business or influence without sacrificing what's most important. Plus, I'm going to show you how to use private aviation as a competitive differentiator without burning through profits like jet fuel. The more you can balance time, profitability, and business or personal goals, the more impact and significance your life can have. Are you ready to be more successful and more significant? And can you agree that being more successful would actually allow you to have more significance? Before we dig in, I've got to warn you about something that's critically important. And not paying attention to this will virtually guarantee you're going to be stuck in commercial airports, waiting for connections, listening to crying kids, and losing sleep. It's what had you hanging on to the fax machine when you needed to be using a computer, and maybe even why you hesitated to upgrade to a smartphone just a few years ago. I call this a martyr mindset. Using technology or a private plane is not about blowing money you could use on something more noble. In order to move ahead, you must have an open mind that using private aviation is like technology. It maximizes two of your most precious assets, time and brain space, so that you can deliver more of whatever it is that makes you brilliant. You're going to have to get rid of that martyr mindset. I'm sure you'll agree, trying to build a business, spread an important message, or introduce a life-saving disruptor isn't easy. It comes with its challenges. You may have encountered seemingly insurmountable business obstacles. You might have a tight schedule, which is compounded by overcrowded roads and inconvenient airline schedules. You may have family issues that need your attention right now. If you are a world changer at any level, there is no way to accommodate everything you need to do, let alone what you want to do the most. We've all used the line, "If only there were more hours in the day," or "I'd happily do that if I could, but my schedule or other commitments just won't allow it." And sometimes we actually mean, from the bottom of our hearts, that we would do it if we could. That's why in this video, I am going to bust the myth that says you're selfish if you spend money on what some perceive as a luxury, when you could be investing that same money to help all the starving kids in Africa, the homeless on your city streets, or even your shareholders' bottom line. It's just not true. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can actually afford it. There are thousands of amazing success stories using private flight as a competitive resource. But in this first video, I'm just going to share a few examples of how people over the years have used private aviation affordably and sensibly to improve their quality of life, increase their profitability, and expand their influence. And how you can too. Maybe you've never flown privately, but have gotten increasingly frustrated with spending countless hours trying to be productive while stuck in Terminal 3 of some random airport. Or maybe you've chartered a plane once before for a special occasion, but felt like it was a once-in-a-lifetime extravagance. You could even be a regular user of private aviation, wanting to make sure you've considered all the ever-changing options. If any of those scenarios sound like you, you're in the right place. Because at the end of video 1, you'll understand how private aviation can be your go-to secret weapon. I'm talking about this because I see so many people who have an important message to share or business to lead, and they spend more time dealing with travel frustrations than presenting or expanding the things that matter most. I've felt this way almost my entire life, and it started where lots of great things begin, at our grandparents' house. I loved my pop-up. He was a war hero with a soft heart, but it was Nana who was a role model for me. Nana was prepared. She was smart. She was ambitious. Nana served as the executive secretary of a powerful Atlanta CEO, and he paid her well enough that she could buy a used Mercedes, which she used on Sundays to go to church. Otherwise, that army green Mercedes with the cream leather interior remained under the carport while she walked to the corner, waited for the city bus, crowded on to get downtown with other people. I always thought it was strange that she would wait in the rain or wind for the scheduled arrival, change buses at the depot, and get off 3 blocks from Rich's headquarters to walk in her high heels to the office. She had a car she had earned. She had a garage spot at work, but she had that martyr mentality I mentioned earlier. Nana served as the president of the Atlanta Professional Secretaries Association, and she didn't want to seem pretentious. I know she missed dinners waiting on delayed buses. She missed playing paper dolls with me more than one time. And worse, I can't imagine how many more women she would have inspired or empowered if she had used her resources for their good instead of worrying about what they thought of her private transportation. I wonder the same thing about successful and important people today who have but do not use the resources that would enable them to be better leaders, more involved with their families, or more engaged in their communities. They may have the resources to change the world or empower someone who will, but they hold back for fear that they also will look pretentious. I'm a strong believer that the most innovative ideas come when people have the time and a conducive environment in which to think. The most successful and significant businesses evolve from efficient processes that value and amplify the top producers' contributions. We are always looking for the latest time savers and ignoring the one that's sitting on the tarmac underutilized. I often meet small or mid-sized business owners who are handicapped by being on the road an inordinate amount of time. They book a flight with a connection because it's cheaper, or they fly in the night before a meeting and sleep poorly in an unfamiliar hotel bed because they don't want a chance being late and losing the business. I also meet executives or influencers who book a charter flight at the last minute and pay a premium when they just have to be there because they didn't have a private aviation plan in place before the crisis arose. It doesn't have to be that way. Private aviation is a tool, and after watching highly successful people use it as a competitive advantage to expand their influence for decades, I think you could too. If you didn't have a story to tell, a game to win, or a business to expand, you would be leaving a legacy of mediocrity instead of watching this video. You want to know more. You need to know how you can crush it this year and do more than ever before. Today's competitive landscape is changing fast. Being in the right place at the right time is more important than ever. Warren Buffett, chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway and self-made billionaire, believes it made a huge difference in his ability to grow his companies. "You will never see eye to eye if you never meet face to face," he said in a campaign called No Plane, No Gain. In fact, he believes in the importance of private aviation so much that in 1998, he bought NetJets, the most innovative company in the business of operating private aircraft at that time. I find interesting that both of our 2016 presidential candidates agree with Buffett in the power of face-to-face meetings. In a 2012 Condé Nast article highlighting a 19,000-mile round-the-world trip as U.S. Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton said, "People actually expect you to show up, to make the effort and demonstrate the respect, to sit across the table and look eye to eye. It reflects a commitment to the relationship that you cannot get from sending an email or doing a video conference." In the same time frame, Donald Trump was interviewed about the benefits of business travel. He answered, "Nothing beats personal interaction. It's the best way to build a rapport, and that can only enhance business performance." Trump's use of private aviation may well have been the key to his successful presidential election. I met his Boeing 757 flight crew when they came to Austin a few months before votes were cast. One of the pilots had a counter on his phone. It was 77 days to the election, 77 more days of the crazy flying schedule that crisscrossed the country, landing in an average of 3 cities a day. A number of experts have observed that those trips provided the face-to-face interaction with hundreds of thousands of Americans whose votes swung the election in favor of the underdog. Another self-made American billionaire, Sam Walton, used private aviation to build the Walmart empire. His first plane was a 2-seater Air Coupe that cost $1,850, but it revolutionized his fledgling business. In his autobiography, Walton says that once he took to the air, he caught store fever. He began expanding geographically. "There's no question whatsoever that we could not have done what we did back then if I had not had airplanes. I bought that first plane for business, to travel between the stores and keep in touch with what was going on." But once we really started rolling out the stores, the airplane turned into a great tool for scouting real estate. We were probably 10 years ahead of most other retailers in scouting locations from the air, and we got a lot of great ones that way. From up in the air, we could check out traffic flows, see which ways cities and towns were growing, and evaluate the location of the competition, if there was any. Today, Walmart operates one of the largest fleets of private jets anywhere in the world. And Walmart provides a classic example of middle management using business aviation as a business tool. Walmart jets do a lot of one-day trips with entire teams as passengers, often with multiple destinations. That is efficient, and efficiency is a competitive differentiator. You may not have presidential aspirations or want to build one of the largest companies in the world. You may not want a Boeing 757 with your name emblazoned on the side, or to have a fleet of 50 jets. But if you have any desire to break a record, break a glass ceiling, or break down a competitor, you should look to the skies. There are hundreds of other stories of companies growing, expanding geographically, or increasing profits with the use of private aviation. They all started with one flight on one plane. A friend I'll call Jill is a financial advisor with several offices around Texas. She has signed up for a local service called Rise. For a fixed monthly price, less than her previous travel budget, she can take unlimited flights on a King Air 350 that flies 60 scheduled trips per week between Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Not only does she arrive minutes before her flight at the private terminal and land at her destination more relaxed, Jill also meets really interesting people on board the flights. She's a financial advisor. The other passengers are also executives. I'm not going to give away her secrets, but you can surely connect the dots. It is not rocket science here. By now, you should be clear that private aviation is a competitive differentiator, and the limitations are largely in your mind. You know it can help you spread your message or grow your business, but how do you budget and plan for it? That's exactly what my friend Sharon asked me recently. She's an author, speaker, and entrepreneurial coach. She makes quite a few trips between her Scottsdale home and her ranch 3 hours away. Plus, she frequently travels to speaking engagements or conferences, often arriving the day before she needs to be there, so nothing is left to chance. With a grandbaby on the way, Sharon wants to spend less time traveling. She needs a plan. Hands down, this is the most important key to anyone's expanding sphere of influence. If you can't budget for it and justify the expense, you won't be any better off, and you won't be able to sustain its use. Who wants to say, "Oh yeah, I decided I didn't like flying privately that much. I prefer public transportation, so I switched back to Delta. In fact, I even fly coach so I can get to know new people really well." How do you know what you can afford and plan for it? That's what I'm going to show you in video number 2. Plus, there are a lot of options available that don't require a big commitment. We'll review some of the top choices to get you airborne in that next video. And I'll reveal the advice I gave my friend Sharon, because I sure couldn't talk one of the world's top financial literacy experts into buying a plane right now. I'll have to work on her for a while. In the meantime, if you have a story about how private aviation has helped you close a deal, deliver a message, or save jobs, please leave a comment below. Conversely, if you have lost a deal, missed a critical meeting or deadline because of the limitations of public transportation, feel free to tell us about that also. We all have those stories. I'll look forward to reading them. See you in the next video.